Welcome back to Mackenzie Woodworking and a restoration of a camper trailer. What we will be starting off with is we'll be fiberglassing a roof on this camper trailer, and all the materials have been supplied by Independent Marine Supply Store, and they've supported us to bring this project to you. So come on up and visit them. They're in Mid-Island Marine Center at 2451 Alberni Highway in beautiful central Vancouver Island. And they've just completed a massive renovation to the store, and it is lovely, all sparkling and shiny new. They've been in business for 30 years, so they've got the know-how and the ability to get you back on track. They've got sounders and radios and fish finders. They've got everything that you'd need to repair your boat in fiberglass mat and epoxy and polyester resins and all the hardeners and waxes that you need to complete a project. They've got all the fittings in the store. It's also a great place to go if you have an RV and you're doing some work to your RV. They've got all the newest and lights that are available, and the LED lights, and they got 12-volt panel systems, and they've got wiring and fittings and a great assortment of stainless steel. So come on up and see them and see their new store and their offerings. So if you've been following along, this is our renovation project on our 1992 Skyline trailer. It's a 17-footer, and we tore the roof off in the last episode, and we're going to continue to tear it off here and show you the problems that we had to deal with. There's some rot along the back where the membrane on the roof was leaking and pouring through, so we're going to continue to tear all this off. We've framed out our openings. We're going to be putting in a 22-inch by 22-inch skylight in it, and another fan towards the back corner. So we'll frame that up within the ceiling before we install the plywood. And the plywood that we're putting on is 3/8 exterior fir plywood, basically house sheeting. There's a shot on the inside. We still have some product to remove, and we'll get that all cleaned up and continue. And what we'll be doing as well too is we'll be taking the taper out of the sides. Like I was saying in the previous video, what they've done, about 2 feet, they've tapered down from 2.5 inches down to 1.25 inches on the outside edges. Not sure what the reasoning was for that, but we're going to just go with a flat roof, and it'll give it strength for the roof portion as well. So you can see there where it's tapered down on the sides, and we'll be taking all the wiring out of the roof membranes and everything so we can put in all our bracing. So along the edge, to give some strength, what we're going to be doing is putting some blocking in. So we'll be using, there's the blocking there, they'll be going along the inside edge, so we'll be able to screw that through. And we've changed one of the roof joists and put a piece of plywood in as a stabilizer and a couple of gussets on both ends there. And we're just using the level to make sure that the top, there's no bows or any cracks or anything. Everything's straight and aligned all the way across. So there's a portion of it, you can see we've got it all cleaned up now and getting ready for plywood. And there's our opening for our skylight. Like I said, we're putting a skylight right in the center of it. It's a 22-inch by 22-inch opening. And there's our plywood. So what we've done is we've cut some 2.5-inch plywood, 3/8, and we've polyurethaned it, which is subfloor glue. We've glued that to the sides of the roof joist, and we've just screwed that with 1.5 inch deck screws. And what they'll do is they'll bring a flat rate out to the edge, and it'll add a tremendous amount of strength to it too. The reason we're doing that is for 2 things: to make it flat, and I didn't like the idea of the cutouts for the wire chases, as I mentioned in the last video. So we're going to alleviate that problem by just marrying up some plywood to the side. So we're going to go all the way through, and all the roof choices will have the same application. And then we'll go in and put some blocking all the way down the center. And so it'll be blocked down the center, and some rim joist blocking as well. You see we have the blocking on the sides here now, and they've all been glued as well. And here we are with the plywood. We got the plywood all laid up, and it's all screwed down, and we've glued it as well. So all the top of the joists had subfloor glue on them. That's a polyurethane based glue. You see in the back corner there. And so we've glued all the sheeting down, and like I said, it's 3/8, and it's construction grade, so exterior house sheeting for home building. I wouldn't use, actually don't use OSB, and don't use fiberboard. There's going to be a lot of work at this point, so use plywood. I wouldn't have considered any other product. But we've countersunk all of these screws, so they're countersunk down a bit, and there's the edge, and we're flat to the edge of the trailer. And as we go along in the video, I'll show you the reason why. But there's another shot of it, and everything's nice and flat. When we put our straight edge along the top, there's no dips or bows or anything in it. It pays to take a little bit of time and get it right. So this is a drip edge that'll be going along both sides in the length of the trailer. These are 2.5 inch by 1 inch. These are yellow cedar. You don't have to use yellow cedar. This is just some stock I have in my shop. But I've rounded over 3 sides. The top will have 1 radius on it, and you see there, and a flat edge. And the bottom of it will have 2 radiuses on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to pre-saturate this and put glass on the bottom edge. That's that edge there that I'm showing you, that's rounded on both sides. And this is so whenever, this is a drip edge, and when this goes on, it's so that you have the glass on it, and you don't have to be bothered about trying to bring the glass, the fiberglass and the mat around 2 or 3 corners to wrap it. So what we want to do is put it on the bottom, and then sand it off smooth, and then we can apply it to the trailer. So I'm just showing you here, I'm mixing up some resin, and I know that that much resin just from the past takes about 12 drops. What I do is when I'm doing a small project like this, we actually started this project with a 5-gallon can. And that's great for big pours, but I transfer it to smaller containers. And it's the same with the catalyst too. If you have a bigger container, ask for a smaller one, an empty one, and they'll usually give you one. Or what I do is I keep all my old ones. And I know that this portion, like I said, takes 12 drops, so I know the applicator. And there you can see, I'm just waiting for it to turn colors. Once it goes from, a lot of them use the crystal blue color as your resin isn't catalyzed. And once you catalyze the resin, then it'll turn darker. A little word of safety. Wear safety glasses, and the catalyst is a very dangerous product. It actually heats up the polyester resin to a temperature of about 1200 degrees. And that's actually what kicks it off, is the heat. So you don't ever want to get this into your eyes. It'll burn your eyes out. So be cautious when you're using the catalyst. And please, no kids around when this is being done. So what I usually do is just count to 100 while I'm mixing it. And what I'll just do is take my chip brush here and just coat everything. And like I said, what we're doing here is the bottom portion of it. And you can see I have 2 radius edges. and that's so the mat will fold around that nicely. And I'll be going up a 1.5 inches on both sides, and then starting the mat right on the bottom, and that's so it's wrapped right around, and it'll be up 1.5 inches on both sides. So when it's applied to the trailer, you can just bring your mat around the top and then go down on the sides, and instead of trying to do that full wrap. And I'll just completely coat the board too. So if any water or anything wants to sneak up on this, it's already sealed. You actually don't have to worry about any problems with the moisture getting up underneath there. So this is an important part to any roof deck or roof portion. If you're doing a boat, you know, it's good to have a drip edge. Most boats have a drip edge on them. It's just to get the water away from the wall and the windows and stuff. So this is what we're creating here. And what I'll be using is I purchased the pre-cut 4-inch mat. It was supplied to us from our supplier, and that's what we'll be using for the top of all the moldings that we'll be doing on this project. So we're just going right along and give that a saturation, and then I'll come back and put the mat on. Whenever you're doing something like this, don't try and mix up a 1/2 gallon of resin and think that you're going to get it all on time. You only have about a 15 to 20 minute working time. As soon as this product starts to gel on you, if you're using it, put it aside and start a new batch. And a thing, you should have 2 or 3 containers. If you notice, I'll be going back and forth, and what I do is that because these containers are inexpensive, and what I'll do is I'll pour out 2 or 3 containers of just resin, not catalyzed, but just resin. So whenever I need more resin, I can just grab a container, add the catalyst, and then keep going. And if you're working on a big project, your helper or jobber that's actually working with you will be able to give you a hand. And as you see that you're coming to the end of your resin, teach your helper how much catalyst to put into it, and then they can pre-catalyze it, and then just hand you your product as needed. But a good helper always helps in this. So what I'm doing here is just one portion in the center to show you. So I start right in the very center with the mat, and you get that all saturated. And whenever you're using a chip brush, you're not really painting. What you're doing is dabbing. If you notice, I'll go all the way down the center, and you dab on both sides with the brush. And what that does is it spreads it back and forth. And then I'll do the other side. And then you'll just dab the top. And if you wanted to, you could use a bubble roller on this, like a steel roller. But there's no need in this application. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible so that people out there can fiberglass their roofs. And this part of the project, we'll be having another episode, the completion. And this is for the fiberglassing of the roof on this travel trailer. So I'll continue all the way down with this, and then get this mat on. And what we'll do is make sure that all the weight is gone. Whenever you're putting on your fiberglass mat, you don't want any white showing through. You want the saturation. And you can see on the back side there it's still white. So what I'll do is I'll tilt it and then get on the back there and just wipe it off the area. But once you get to your mat, you do not want to use the brush as a paintbrush. You're basically using it as an applicator to dab on the resin. And here we are. We've got all our mat on. I'm just showing you the portion. You can see how we have the bottom wrapped. So that's wrapped with resin and mat right now, and that will be the bottom part of the drip edge. And we'll glue that and screw that to the edge of the plywood, and that one will go the full length on the right and the left elevation of the trailer. And then we can just bring our fiberglass from the top down onto the front face, and we don't have to worry about doing those double wraps. Just makes it a lot easier, and it's a lot easier working on the bench with it upright than trying to control the resin and the mat and everything up high and working underneath. So this is a bit of a pro tip. Anywhere that you can pre-fiberglass or resin, that's when you do it. So this is where it's going, right along the side of the trailer there. You can see where we've got the plywood, and it's going right where the ladder is, so we'll be putting this on. And so our last step today, and on this episode, is the saturation. So what we want to do is completely seal off all the plywood. And you notice I haven't cut any holes or put any curbs or anything in. We just have a flat roof, and what we're doing is just rolling on the resin. And the resin has been thin. I thin it 20% with styrene, and that's so it soaks into the plywood. So we're just going to give this a good coat, and it goes on with a paint roller. This is a 10 mil roller. So when I go onto mat, I use a 5 mil roller, but this is a 10 mil. It's basically just to push product around and get it to saturate in there. And what this will do is, if you're in a rainy season or a problem with dew or anything, when this goes down dry, this will stay dry. And then all we have to do is give it a quick sand or a wipe with some acetone to get it tacky again, and then we can later glass on it. But we'll saturate all of this and get it all done. And if you're doing this in colder months, you could even roll this out in a garage and pre-saturate the top side of all your plywood and get it ready for your project that you're working on. Well, thanks a lot for joining me on this project, and I hope you stay tuned for the rest of the roof portion and the renovation. And if you like this, please subscribe. And thanks a lot for watching it.